It is Wednesday, October 12th. The war of words between Donald Trump and the Republican establishment has just reached fever pitch.
I think we should get support, and we don't get the support from guys like Paul Ryan. I don't want his support. I don't care about his support. What I want to do is I want to win for the people.
Plus, the brand new attack ad Trump just released on Hillary Clinton and her health. We are live in Washington.
A stunning revelation from the latest WikiLeaks document dump. Top Hillary Clinton staffers busted mocking Catholics and evangelicals.
And more than a dozen officers punished. Their crime? Supporting Donald Trump. Fox and Friends First starts right now.
Sun not quite up yet here in New York City, but the lights are bright as always on 6th Avenue there right outside our offices. Good morning to you. You're watching Fox and Friends First on this Wednesday morning, halfway through the week. I'm Abby Huntsman.
And I'm Heather Childers. Thank you so much for starting your day with us, and nice to have you back as well. Yeah. Let's get right to the race for the White House, though. The shackles have been taken off.
Yep, Donald Trump declaring war on establishment Republicans for pulling their support and vowing to teach them a lesson.
Leland Vitterts is live for us in Washington with how it all went down. Good morning, Leland. What is the latest today?
Ladies, good morning to you. It seems as though Mr. Trump has felt somewhat constrained or perhaps restricted by the normal rules of politics. Not anymore, he says, after House Speaker Paul Ryan announced he will no longer defend or campaign with Trump and instead focus solely on protecting the GOP majority. This November, Trump tweeted, "It's so nice that the shackles have been taken off me, and now I can fight for America the way I want to." And then he showed his followers exactly what that meant, following up a couple of hours later. The very foul-mouthed Senator John McCain begged for my support during his primary. I gave, he won, referring back to 2008, then dropped me over locker room remarks. And Trump seemed equally less restrained, or shackled to use his word, on the stump.
In 28 days, we're going to win Florida, and we are going to win back the White House. We're going to win them back. I'd like to begin tonight by extending our thoughts and prayers to those recovering from the tragic aftermath of Hurricane Matthew. And I watched, and fortunately it took a little bit of a turn to the right, to the east, and we got a little lucky, but it was still very bad. So to everybody, our thoughts and prayers are with you. Thank you.
Trump made those remarks in the very conservative Florida Panhandle, a place he needs every vote he can get. Consider this. No Republican has won the White House without carrying Florida since Calvin Coolidge in 1924. And Florida, which had been a toss-up state, is now in the lean Democrat state. Fox News switched it from a toss-up because of recent polling, but also because Clinton's team has been doing an exceptional job of registering new voters. As our Carl Cameron reported, yesterday was the deadline to register to vote in 13 states, including Florida. Trump mentioned it for the first time yesterday morning on Twitter. Ladies, back to you.
It is a lots of opinions on this one. Thank you, Leland. Well, now it's time to take a look at who is talking. And this morning, Donald Trump's evangelical advisor, Pastor Robert Jeffress, explains why Trump is still the choice for conservative Christians.
The real issue here in this election is it's a binary choice for conservative Christians between one candidate who is pro-life, pro-religious liberty, and pro-conservative justices of the Supreme Court, and the other candidate who holds exactly the opposite views on all of those issues. And to me, for a conservative Christian to stay at home and allow Hillary Clinton to become the president is unthinkable and inexcusable.
And on the Democratic side, it is a blast from the past. Bill Clinton's former Vice President Al Gore campaigning alongside Hillary Clinton in the battleground state of Florida, the two pushing a message on climate change in hopes of appealing to millennial voters.
The choice in this election is extremely clear. Hillary Clinton will make solving the climate crisis a top national priority. Her opponent, based on the ideas that he has presented, would take us toward a climate catastrophe.
Gore, who claims to have invented the internet, is Clinton's latest attempt to sway young voters away from third-party candidates.
Well, top Hillary Clinton staffers busted mocking Catholics and evangelicals. That is one of the many, many stunning revelations from the latest WikiLeaks dump of emails from campaign chair John Podesta. Now, the 2011 email chains are between Jennifer Palmieri Podesta and John Halpin from the liberal think tank Center for American Progress. Halpin slammed Fox News CEO Rupert Murdoch and News Corp chairman Robert Thompson for raising their children Catholic, writing this: "It's an amazing bastardization of the faith. They must be attracted to the systematic thought and severely backwards gender relations." Podesta did not respond, but Palmieri did, saying this: "I imagine they think it is the most socially acceptable politically conservative religion. Their rich friends wouldn't understand if they became evangelicals."
This is troubling, should be troubling politically for her, not because these evangelicals, maybe the Catholics, not the evangelicals are going to vote for her, but it shows the hostility toward religious freedom, and that is where these evangelicals are right now.
Another chain appears to show coordination between the Clinton camp and the DOJ. In May 2015, Press Secretary Brian Fallon forwarded an email that he got from a DOJ official, writing this: "DOJ just filed a briefing saying the government proposes releasing HRC's cache of work-related emails in January 2016. Cheryl Mills exclaimed, "Get out." Podesta now blaming the leak on Trump advisor Roger Stone. He claims that Stone has been in touch with Julian Assange and gave Trump, quote, advanced warning. WikiLeaks says that they have 50,000 more emails to come.
Wow. Also breaking overnight, an entire police department targeted in a possible bomb attack. The feds now hunting for the person who left a backpack stuffed with explosives right on their doorstep. The bomb squad moving into a Denver, Colorado suburb to examine the bag, which sat outside a police headquarters building for more than 12 hours. The police chief describing it as a, quote, very real threat. Investigators are still working to figure out if it was an act of terrorism. And new details in the deadly police shooting of an unarmed black man. Blood tests showing Terrence Crutcher was high on PCP when Tulsa, Oklahoma officer Betty Shelby opened fire.
Shots fired!
Shelby, a trained drug agent, told investigators she thought Crutcher was on something from the start. Concerned his erratic behavior posed a threat to her life. Well, she pleaded not guilty to first-degree manslaughter.
To the Pentagon now, saying that it may retaliate against the militants who attacked a U.S. Navy destroyer. Two missiles falling short of the USS Mason and landing in the Red Sea on Sunday. Still unclear who fired them, but officials say that it came from an area in Yemen controlled by an Iranian-backed militant group.
A massive explosion in a Chicago suburb, leaving one person clinging to life and reducing an entire block of homes to ash and rubble.
You guys gotta move it back. Right now, we gotta make sure this doesn't explode again.
Oh my God!
Wow, look at that. Two workers were fixing a gas leak outside a townhome complex when the line exploded. Flames 3 stories high, consuming 2 of the 5 units and sending bystanders running for their lives.
And look at this, a plane falling from the sky, crashing in a fiery blaze on a busy roadway. And now investigators think it may have been intentional.
It was a crash, and then like an atom bomb went off, and then it just kept blowing up. And then I heard people screaming.
According to the New York Times, a flight instructor on board says the Connecticut crash was not an accident, prompting an FBI investigation. A student pilot was killed as the single-engine plane careened through power lines, slamming to the ground. And now take a look at this. Police taking down a shoplifting suspect with a taser in the middle of a freeway. A sheriff's deputy closing in on the man as he looks for oncoming traffic. Police say that all of this started when these two men tried stealing $2,000 worth of clothes from a Kohl's in Texas. When officers tried to pull over their getaway car, the driver took off, speeding the wrong way down a highway. Eventually, the suspect ditched that truck and then ran across the freeway. Oof.
To weather now, and tens of thousands of people being told to get to higher ground as North Carolina braces for even more flooding from Hurricane Matthew. Swollen rivers are taking over towns as far as 80 miles inland, stranding people inside their homes for days.
Helicopters would fly around my house. They didn't fly over me. And I had all kind of signals. I wrote notes all over the house. I had sheets hanging out. Nobody saved me but my son and my nephew.
Meantime, Haiti is bracing for famine after Matthew caused, quote, apocalyptic damage to the country. In some cities, all of those crops have been totally wiped out.
Our prayers for all those folks in Haiti and North Carolina. The time now is about 9 minutes after the top of the hour, and a Fox News exclusive. Meet Hillary's fall guy.
I would say 100% I was victimized. To somehow discredit me, throw me under the bus, do whatever it took.
Now we know just how far the Obama administration was willing to go to protect Hillary Clinton.
Plus, think media bias doesn't exist? Then why is there a mad dash over at NBC to find more of Trump's hot mic moments?
And Tim Tebow to the rescue. When a fan has a seizure, he starts to pray. The incredible story some are calling a miracle.
But first, a look at the weather across the country.
I think we should get support, and we don't get the support from guys like Paul Ryan. I'm just tired of non-support, and I don't really want to support. What I want to do is I want to win for the people, because Hillary Clinton, she is a disaster. She is a disaster.
27 days now until the election, and the GOP is in a heated war of words with their own nominee. 29 Republicans have now withdrawn their support from Donald Trump.
But has the establishment forgotten who the real enemy is? The deputy opinion editor at the Washington Times, Kelly Riddell, is here to weigh in for us this morning. Thank you so much for joining us, first of all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So what do you think the real reason is behind all of this withdrawal of support? And have they forgotten, if Hillary Clinton is worse?
Yeah, there was always going to be a rub, given that Donald Trump is an outsider. He's not a politician. He's not friends with these guys in the GOP establishment here in Washington, D.C. So there was always this natural friction that was going to happen. But Donald Trump won with 14 million votes, the GOP primary. That's more than in any Republican primary history. If you're going to look at Ted Cruz, he also ran as an outsider. Add those votes together, he won more than a plurality. The majority of Republican voters want to see a change in Washington, and that starts with those in Congress. We all need each other to win the White House. We need 90% of the base to come out and vote if we want to win. So we need to come together. So this friction that's happening, it's a little unbelievable to me, given that Hillary Clinton is the one that we want to beat. Even the Never Trumpers can agree that Hillary Clinton is corrupt. She represents the status quo, and her administration would be more of the same that we've had under Barack Obama, and we want a change.
Yeah, well, not all Republicans seem to be on board with that. As I mentioned at the top of the segment, we now have 29 Republicans who originally supported him now polling that support. We have some of the tweets, because it seems like Twitter is the outlet where everyone can sort of vent. This is from Joni Ernst saying the comments DJT made are lewd and insulting. There is no excuse and no room for such reprehensible and objectifying talk about anyone ever. This one's from Jeb Bush, who was never really behind Donald Trump, saying, as the grandfather of two precious girls, I find that no apology can excuse away Donald Trump's reprehensible comments degrading women. It goes on and on. Donald Trump responded. Here's what he said. He says, the media and establishment want me out of the race so badly, I will never drop out of the race, will never let my supporters down. And then he goes on to say in another tweet that he needs them in order to win. How dangerous is this for top Republicans to now be polling their support with just a few weeks now until the election?
Well, it's dangerous for Republicans in general. Our party is splintering as we're watching it implode. We're eating our own. We're supposed to all come under the big tent, and this is just not happening. I think it was all too easy. Donald Trump has been bombastic from the start. He was a reality television show host who was a billionaire playboy. That was his persona. That was his reputation. GOP voters knew that. So for everyone to abandon him on Saturday after that lewd tape came out, and it was lewd and it was crass, and I do not support anything that was in it. But let me just say that it wasn't a shocker. It wasn't a shocker to anyone. So I think there's a phony outcry. They've seen the polls going, and they're abandoning him because they're looking out for their own political futures.
That's what I was going to ask you.
And that is just unfortunate.
Actually, as we wrap this up, it's also important to take a look at those particular states and see which ones are involved in some competitive races for, House seats, for Senate seats, also for some of the governors. And then my other question, though, to you is who should extend the olive branch, because Donald Trump certainly sounds like he is not.
I think that Donald Trump, if he does win this presidency, and he will win it against all odds because he's running against the media, he's running against the establishment, he's running against Democrats, he's going to need to work with Congress to get their agenda passed and the Republican agenda passed. The same token, Paul Ryan's going to need to work with him if he wants to get his agenda passed. They need to all come together. Donald Trump should be attacking Hillary Clinton. He should not be having a tweet storm against Republicans.
Yes, they say it takes two to tango. Yeah. Kelly Riddell, thanks for being with us so early this morning.
Thank you,
Good
guys.
to see you.
Thank you.
The time's now 18 minutes after the hour. Coming up next, more than a dozen cops punished their crimes supporting Donald Trump.
And just call it the man tax, the place where men will pay more to make it fair. Welcome back to Fox and Friends. First, a Fox News exclusive for you. Another Clinton cover-up. Some brand new evidence this morning showing just how far the Obama administration went to protect Hillary Clinton and her run for president. Listen to this. Former arms dealer Mark Turi saying the administration tried to make him the fall guy for Clinton's failures in Libya. Turi saying the State Department accused him of arming rebels in an effort to oust former dictator Muammar Gaddafi.
I would say 100% I was victimized to somehow discredit me, throw me under the bus, do whatever it took to protect their, next presidential candidate.
All criminal charges against Turi have been dropped, which he says is a move to keep Clinton's role in the blown operation under wraps. He tells Fox News that some of those weapons eventually ended up with ISIS.
New questions this morning on how long NBC sat on Donald Trump's hot mic moment. Billy Bush reportedly bragged about the 11-year-old Access Hollywood tape as far back as August, but it still took nearly 2 months and a leak for the footage to see the light of day. And now it seems like NBC's top priority is taking down Trump. The network's president reportedly leading a mass hunt for old Celebrity Apprentice tapes, hoping to find more damaging statements made behind the scenes.
And now to a Fox Business Alert for all pet owners. This would include you.
Cheryl Casoni from our sister network, Fox News, is here with what you need to know. Cheryl, what do I need to know this morning?
Well, there's a pet food recall to tell you about, and it's the Cesar Millan inspired dog food, Caesar dog food. This is made by Mars Pet Care, and unfortunately some of the customers have found plastic pieces. Luckily, no pets have been harmed, no injuries, but they're recalling these from August of 2018. Another recall I got to tell you about, Bluebell ice cream. They're expanding that cookie dough based listeria concern recall. Basically, there's worries that listeria could be in cookie dough. There's been no reports of illnesses so far, but they're just trying to be as careful as they can. It's different types of cookie dough ice cream from Bluebell. February 2016 to September of 2016 is when they were manufactured.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
Well, so if you're a man and you're out buying some of this at a pharmacy, specifically one, they're instituting a man tax?
Well, remember the female tax? We talked about that a while ago. Well, yeah, a New York pharmacy, it's called Thompson Chemists in Soho here in Manhattan, say that basically, according to their science, that all females will shop tax-free. Males are going to, have to pay that man tax. Remember, there was that study last year showing that the same products for men and for women, there was kind of a big difference when it came to the tax. And that feminine hygiene product tax, of course, was something that was very controversial. And the woman, the female owner of the store, says enough is enough. She's fighting back a little bit.
I like that.
Good for her.
All right, Cheryl, I know you said that you like doing dishes and laundry. It's like therapeutic for you.
Yeah.
Well, now there's a new device apparently that makes it doing even easier.
Yeah, this is dishes, which I'm not as excited about as doing laundry, I got to admit. But this is a GE appliance. It's the first dishwasher from GE. It's actually going to order detergent for you when it sees that it's running low and supplies are running low on the machine. Of course, with all these connected, Wi-Fi connected appliances that are out there, we've seen different machines and refrigerators and things tell you different things. But this is now the first dishwasher that will do it. It's not expensive. It is expensive. It's $1,500. So coming up at 5:45, guys, what would you make of dead people receiving $1.5 million in benefits through Medicare? Well, it happened, and I'm going to have details coming up a little bit.
Actually, the sad thing is it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an important story. Look forward to that. Thanks, Cheryl. All right, well, more than a dozen San Antonio cops now facing punishment, and their crime apparently supporting Donald Trump.
Yeah, in a new video, this was posted by the GOP nominee, you can see the San Antonio officers wearing Make America Great Again hats as they escorted him to the airport.
And now they could face disciplinary action for wearing the hats while on duty and in uniform. The police chief calling it inappropriate.
Let us know what you think about that one.
A lot of red hats, huh?
Well, the time now is 26 minutes after the top of the hour, and a major break in the Kim Kardashian robbery case. The brand new evidence up next.
Plus, Al Gore hitting the campaign trail for Hillary Clinton, bringing his climate change message to millennials, but he is not going to want to hear what the experts just said about it. Good morning. It is Wednesday, October 12th. The war of words between Donald Trump and the Republican establishment have just reached fever pitch.
I think we should get support, and we don't get the support from guys like Paul Ryan. I don't want his support. I don't care about his support. What I want to do is I want to win for the people.
Plus, the brand new attack ad Trump just released on Hillary Clinton and her health. We are live in Washington.
And a stunning revelation from the latest WikiLeaks document dump. Top Hillary Clinton staffers busted mocking Catholics and evangelicals.
And Tim Tebow to the rescue. When a fan has a seizure, he starts to pray. And what happened next? Nothing short of a miracle. Fox and Friends First continues right now.
The bright lights of New York City, Times Square there, where the lights never go out. Good morning to you. You're watching Fox and Friends First, and I'm Heather Childers.
I love that song. Yeah. Good morning to you. I'm Abby Huntsman. The time is currently 31 after the hour. And we do begin with the race for the White House, and the shackles have been taken off.
Donald Trump declaring war on establishment Republicans for pulling their support and vowing to teach them a lesson.
Leland Bittert is live in Washington with how it all went down, Leland, and it's all happening on the Twitterverse.
Ladies, good morning. It seems as though Mr. Trump has felt somewhat constrained or perhaps restricted by the normal rules of politics. Not anymore, he says. After House Speaker Paul Ryan announced he will no longer defend or campaign with Trump and instead focus solely on protecting the GOP's majority, Trump tweeted this: "It's so nice that the shackles have been taken off me and I can now fight for America the way I want to. Disloyal R's are far more difficult than crooked Hillary. They'll come at you from all sides. They don't know how to win. I will teach them." This is how he explained it all on the O'Reilly Factor.
I think we should get support, and we don't get the support from guys like Paul Ryan. He had a conference call yesterday with congressmen, with hundreds of them, and they practically rioted against him on the phone. One person stuck up for him. So I'm just tired of non-support, and I don't really want to support. You know, if he calls now and wants to, this happens all the time. If you sneeze, he calls up and announces. Isn't that a terrible thing? So look, I don't want his support. I don't care about his support. What I want to do is I want to win for the people, because Hillary Clinton, she is a disaster.
Well, it's not only Republicans he's fighting. He did post this video on Twitter going after Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton failed every single time as Secretary of State. Now she wants to be president. Hillary Clinton doesn't have the fortitude, strength, or stamina to lead in our world. She failed as Secretary of State.
Trump spent yesterday at a rally in the very conservative Florida Panhandle, a place he needs to get every vote he can. Consider this: no Republican has won the White House without carrying Florida since Calvin Coolidge back in 1924. And Florida, which had been a toss-up state, is now a lean Democrat state. We switched it from a toss-up because of recent polling, but also because Clinton's team has been doing an exceptional job of registering new voters. As our Carl Cameron reported yesterday, it was the deadline to register to vote in 13 states, including Florida. Trump mentioned it, registering to vote, for the first time yesterday morning, as you all pointed out, where everything seems to be playing out this election year, on Twitter.
Yeah, but it constantly is changing, so we'll see.
Thank you, Leland. All right, time now for Look Who's Talking. And this morning, former Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich is hammering Republicans who are withdrawing their support from Donald Trump.
The only question that we ask of every Republican is not, are you going to support Donald Trump? Are you going to help beat Hillary Clinton? Because Hillary Clinton will be the most corrupt, most dishonest person ever elected. Any Republican who's willing to help her should join the Democratic Party.
Speaking of the Democratic Party, on the Democratic side, it is a blast from the past. Bill Clinton's former Vice President Al Gore campaigning alongside Hillary Clinton in the battleground state of Florida we were just talking about. The two pushing a message on climate change in hopes of appealing to millennial voters.
The choice in this election is extremely clear. Hillary Clinton will make solving the climate crisis a top national priority. Her opponent, based on the ideas that he has presented, would take us toward a climate catastrophe.
Gore, who claims to have invented the internet, if you remember that, is Clinton's latest attempt to sway younger voters away from third-party candidates.
All right. Well, Hillary Clinton's top aides attacked religious groups. That is one of many stunning revelations from the latest WikiLeaks dump of emails from campaign chair John Podesta. The 2011 email chains are between Jennifer Palmieri, Podesta, and John Halpin from the liberal think tank Center for American Progress. Halpin slammed Fox News CEO Rupert Murdoch and News Corp chairman Robert Thompson for raising their children Catholic, writing, quote, "It's an amazing bastardization of the faith. They must be attracted to the systemic thought and severely backwards gender relations." Podesta did not respond, but Palmieri did, saying, quote, "I imagine they think it is the most socially acceptable, politically conservative religion. Their rich friends wouldn't understand if they became evangelicals."
This was thinly veiled religious bigotry, not only against conservative Catholics, but also against evangelicals. Sort of the back and forth is they're conservative Catholics because they couldn't take the social pressure of being evangelicals, because that is even more out of the mainstream.
Right. Another email appears to show the Clinton team getting early access to town hall questions. Current DNC chair Donna Brazile, who worked for CNN, emailed Palmieri the day before a town hall back in March, saying, "From time to time, I get the questions in advance. Here's one that worries me about HRC, death penalty." Sure enough, the next day, Clinton got this exact question.
"I would like to know, how can you still take your stance on the death penalty in light of what you know right now?"
Both Brazile and CNN deny the accusations. Podesta now blaming the leak on Trump advisor Roger Stone. He claims Stone has been in touch with Julian Assange and gave Trump, quote, "advanced warning." WikiLeaks says they have 50,000 more emails still to come.
Will be interesting to see what they pay more attention to today, the mainstream media. Well, breaking overnight, an entire police department targeted in a possible bomb attack. The feds now hunting for the person who left a backpack stuffed with explosives right on their doorstep. Now, the bomb squad moving into a Denver, Colorado suburb to examine the bag, which sat outside a police headquarters building for more than 12 hours. The police chief describing it as a, quote, "very real threat." And now to Chicago, a massive explosion there in a suburb, reducing an entire block of homes to ash and rubble.
You guys gotta move back. Right now, we gotta make sure this doesn't explode again. Oh my God!
Here's what we know. 2 workers were fixing a gas leak outside a townhome complex when the line exploded. One person critically injured. Flames 3 stories high, if you can imagine, consuming 2 of the 5 units and sending bystanders running for their lives.
And a major break-in the Kim Kardashian robbery case. French police have found DNA on a piece of jewelry that was stolen from the reality star. Someone found the diamond cross and handed it over to police a day after Kardashian was robbed at gunpoint inside her Paris apartment. That development comes as Kardashian sues the website Media Takeout over claims that she faked her robbery. Still a lot more on the story.
Well, the time now is about 20 minutes until the top of the hour. President Obama taking direct aim at Donald Trump and his supporters.
The guy says stuff that nobody would find tolerable if they were applying for a job at 7-Eleven.
And he didn't stop there.
And how do dead people get millions from the government? The stunning new report, that is next. And Tim Tebow to the rescue. When a fan has a seizure, he starts to pray. And what happened next? Well, nothing short of a miracle.
We love Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
Welcome back. 27 days until the election. Can you imagine? President Obama is hitting the campaign trail for Hillary Clinton and taking shots at those who support Donald Trump.
The fact that now you've got people saying, well, we strongly disapprove. We really disagree. We find those comments disgusting. But we're still endorsing it. We still think he should be president. That doesn't make sense to me.
The president also poking fun at Clinton protesters in North Carolina and the crowd there, saying that they were, quote, auditioning for a reality show.
All right, listen to this story. Dead people getting millions from the government. A stunning new audit out this morning. Cheryl Casoni from our sister network Fox Business here now with more on this. Cheryl, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Abby. Well, that's right. A recent audit by the Inspector General for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid found the agency improperly paid $1.5 million in benefits to dead people between the years 2013 and 2015. According to the audit, the agency processed 1,047 Medicare claims worth nearly $1.5 million for services after the recipient's date of death. Now, while the agency does have processes in place to make sure benefits do not continue, it relies on data from the Social Security Administration to prevent fraud. A spokesman said the agency is strongly committed to program integrity efforts in Medicare and continuously works to prevent improper payments to deceased beneficiaries. Many people not surprised, though, sadly, by this. Back to you.
Thank you, Cheryl. We're going to switch gears now, though, and talk about a little sports. Colin Kaepernick will actually have to get off the bench. The 49ers quarterback, who inspired a wave of unpatriotic protests against the national anthem, has been named the starter. We'll see what happens with this. He will take over for struggling Blaine Gabbert this Sunday against the Bills, but it may come at a cost for Kaepernick. The team is reportedly restructuring his multi-million-dollar contract, making it cheaper if they decide to let him go next year.
Well, here's a heartwarming story. Tim Tebow performing what some are calling a miracle while signing autographs after a minor league game in Arizona. One of his fans collapsed, appearing to have a seizure. Well, Tebow put a hand on the fan, saying a prayer, keeping him calm until the paramedics arrived. The man, luckily, is expected to be okay. And this is not the first time for Tebow. He also prayed with a man who experienced heart problems during a flight back in June.
Yeah.
Good man.
Yeah, I love Tim Tebow. Yeah. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Ducey. Coming up on Fox and Friends in 12 minutes, we're going to take you back to a Trump rally on Monday in Pennsylvania. Donald Trump there at the podium. He sees in the distance somebody, he says, look at that guy over there. And then the crowd started chanting, bring him up, bring him up. Who was he? Here's a clue.
Now, he's supposed to look like Donald Trump, but he's actually much too good looking. You are really handsome. Where's your daddy? And your mommy, right? Do you want to go back? Do you want to go back to them, or do you want to stay with Donald Trump?
Trump.
He said Trump. He is 2 years old. His name is Hunter. Hunter is going to be joining us today along with his mother. They're calling him Tiny Trump, and he's going to be with us today. Also, Rob O'Neill, the guy who killed Osama bin Laden, Sheriff David Clark. And ladies, we've got Kellyanne Conway, the person who's behind the Trump campaign. All starts 11 minutes from right now, right here on the channel. Everybody trusts for their morning news.
A lot going on this morning. Can't wait to watch that. Little kid is so cute.
You really can't script those moments, and that was really an awesome one.
Because you never know what a kid's going to say.
I know.
You never know.
He took a chance.
He's going to be 30 years old saying, remember when this video came out?
So cute.
Thanks, Steve.
You bet, Abby. Have a great day.
All right. Will someone wake up Al Gore to show him how this bold prediction is now coming along?
There is a 75% chance that the entire North Polar ice cap could be completely ice-free within the next 5 to 7 years.
Well, the former vice president joining other climate change scientists declaring all the Arctic ice would be gone by now. But according to the National Snow and Ice Data Center, the ice has actually expanded by 31% in the Arctic Circle just since 2012.
Well, President Obama, meantime, executing a last-minute course correction when it comes to the space program. The president now wants the U.S. to put humans on Mars by 2030 with the help of private innovators. But we've heard this before.
So let me start by being extremely clear. I am 100% committed to the mission of NASA and its future.
Well, that was the president back in 2010 promising to continue deep space exploration, but instead he ended up overseeing the end of NASA's space shuttle program.
Well, Ben Affleck is back on the big screen with his new movie, The Accountant.
And here with his review, Fox News contributor and founder of NerdTears.com, Kevin McCarthy. Always love having you in the morning.
Good morning, Abby and Heather. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great.
Love the tie.
This looks really good, though, this movie.
Yeah, the movie's incredible. Imagine like an R-rated Jason Bourne, essentially. Ben Affleck plays a character called obviously he's the accountant, but the idea here is that he's kind of uncooking books for some very dangerous people, including cartels, but he also serves as an assassin as well. So a lot of the action in the film is very intense. His character has autism, and at an early age, his father gave him a lot of military training, so he uses that in regards to his job. And the accountant title is kind of like an idea of like being hidden behind that, but he is an incredible performance in this film. Ben Affleck does a great job. I think the direction is incredible. Gavin O'Connor, who directed the movie, is phenomenal. He made a movie called Warrior, also the movie Miracle, which is an amazing movie as well. This movie has incredible storytelling, incredible action, but just know going in, it's very, very R-rated. That means it's very brutal at times to watch, but I think Affleck does a great job. So does J.K. Simmons, as well as Anna Kendrick, and I gave the movie a 4 out of 5. It has a really, really interesting twist to it at the end that I kind of had to think about for a little while, but it really does stay with you for a while.
Well, all right, so you're not giving it away. Sorry, we were pausing. Thank you for not giving it away.
I'm not going to give it away. No. Okay, but I did sit down. I did sit down with Ben Affleck and Gavin O'Connor, the director and the star of the film. And one of the cool things in the film is that there's this scene where Ben Affleck is writing like hundreds or thousands of numbers all over these windows and these glass windows in this office. And I wanted to know, did he actually have to sit there and do that himself, or did someone come in and write it for him? And I was actually genuinely shocked by this answer. Watch this.
We got Ben's handwriting.
Cool thing, actually, yeah.
Yeah, we got Ben's handwriting, and then we were replicating that with. So that really
turned my handwriting into a font with a computer.
What's that called? Affleck font?
I guess they gave it to me. So now I can type in my own handwriting, so they could print out with the computer in a font that looks like my handwriting. So a computer printed all that stuff out.
That's amazing.
But in my handwriting, I know, cool, right? I thought that was a really neat trick.
I had a forensic accountant with us through the whole process to make sure all the numbers were accurate.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I gave the movie a 4 out of 5, and it comes out on Friday of this week, so make sure you see it. It's pretty awesome.
And something else may be going on that's, I'm sure, going to get 5 stars from you. You're getting married this weekend.
Big weekend, Kevin. We've been waiting for this.
Yeah, I'm definitely in that freak out mode right now because my fiance is, we're in that time where she has planned everything, and I'm just kind of like trying to make sure everything goes right. I mean, we sat up until last night practicing our dance lessons, so I'm excited about it. So I'm looking forward to it.
Proposal right there. Well, that's what we're looking at, and you have to tell us, what are you going to wear?
I was going to say that the outfit you wore when you proposed is pretty fantastic. So what are you going to wear for the actual wedding day, Kevin?
So I got a custom tux made for myself. It's a black tux, but I have a bunch of secret compartments inside of it. I have like movie quotes all over the back of it and the neck area. And there's some really cool stuff going on there. But I mean, I just got to say, I cannot believe that I'm getting married to this amazing person. Aww. She's the greatest person I've ever met in my entire life. So I mean, I'm just a very, very lucky person to be marrying her. Her name is Lauren, and she's amazing. She works for Breitbart. She is just incredible. I love her.
Yeah, I love your pictures on social media. I kind of stalk you a little bit, but you guys look like you have an awesome time all the time.
She's beautiful. Kevin, congratulations. We're so excited for you.
No, I appreciate it. And thank you so much for having me on your show. It's always an honor to be here, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend, all right?
All right, you too. Congrats.
Bye, guys.
Kevin. Yeah. Time is now almost 5 minutes to top of the hour. And brand new fallout for Samsung. The action the company is now taking if you have one of those exploding phones.
Plus, it took 5 hours for this to happen. The implosion fail that you have to see. The time is 2 minutes until the top of the hour. Before we leave the House, here's what's happening for you today. The presidential candidates storming the swing states. Donald Trump holding rallies in Florida while Hillary Clinton heads to Colorado. WikiLeaks says that they have 50,000 more Clinton campaign chair John Podesta's emails waiting to be released. They've already dumped 3 batches within the last 2 weeks. So let's keep talking about this. Will these dumps hurt Hillary? Log on to Fox and Friends First Facebook page right after the show. And Samsung giving out fireproof boxes to customers so they can send back those exploding phones. UPS and FedEx originally refused to handle the returns.
Time now for the good, the bad, and the ugly. First for the good. From rocker to royalty, Rod Stewart is now a knight. The 71-year-old receiving the honor from Prince William at Buckingham Palace, becoming Sir Roderick David Stewart. Next, the bad, a 93-year-old bridge deemed weak turns out to be anything but weak. The Little Rock, Arkansas bridge refusing to fall despite several explosions. It took crews 5 hours to finally bring that bridge down. And the ugly, the creepy clown craze claims a new victim, Ronald McDonald. The fast food chain signature mascot is laying low until the clown sightings start to die down.
Yeah,
how creepy is that?
Pulling those clown masks from Halloween stores as well.
All right.
Well, Fox and Friends starts right now.
Have a good day.
Good morning to you and your family. It's Wednesday. It's October 12th, 2016. I'm Ainsley Earhart. Donald Trump unleashing a war of words on fellow Republicans.
I think we should get support, and we don't get the support from guys like Paul Ryan. I don't want his support. I don't care about his support. What I want to do is I want to win for the people.
Well, he might not have Paul Ryan's support, but does he still have Marco Rubio's?
Good question, because he was down in Florida. Then another bombshell from the trove of email released by the hackers at WikiLeaks. Top Hillary Clinton staffers busted for mocking Catholics and evangelicals, just making fun of them. We're going to tell you more.
And then call him the Miracle Met. Tim Tebow becomes an angel in the outfield, saving a man's life.
What?
It's going to be a great show this morning, and we're glad you're watching.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Studio E. Look who's dropped by.
I know.
E for excellent. Good
With
morning.
you.
Thank you
We
for
love
having
having you
me.
here. Good to see
Thank you, Ainsley.
Now, are you going to be a little thrown off? Because normally on the weekend, you sit right here where I'm sitting.
I've got vertigo, but that's okay. It's like this is a brand new set to me. It's so fresh.
Well, the lights are on that side. Wait a minute.
I love it.
Is it hard for you to turn to the left?
Honestly, it is.
I knew that.
All right, well...
no, do you remember the time he was here? You were filling in for Brian, right?
Yeah.
And you had a crick in your neck and you couldn't turn.
Oh, that's right.
I want to dedicate the show to Advil, which solves all problems.
All right. Anyway, it's great to have you, and it's great to have you, because there are just 27 days now until election. And today, the Trump train is roaring through Florida again as the Republican nominee declares war on the GOP establishment.
Trump is just fed up after his own party abandoned him and didn't support him, but his fight is nowhere near over.
What exactly is going on? John Roberts has the answer. He's live in Ocala, Florida. Ocala, with how it all went down. Good morning, John.
Tucker, good morning to you as well. Stephen, Ainsley, Tucker, if you want to get really disoriented, we'll put you on a horse here at the Southeastern Livestock Pavilion, run you around the ring a few times. That ought to do it. Left or right, doesn't really matter. Donald Trump in the Sunshine State last night, today, and part of tomorrow. He now trails Hillary Clinton here in the Real Clear Politics average of polls by about 2.5 points. Try to battle back because he was leading in the state of Florida. He does still have the support of Marco Rubio. By the way, he still has the support of John Boehner in the state of Ohio as well. But yesterday, Donald Trump going off on many of the Republicans who have decided that they're not going to stick with him, though Paul Ryan has not really withdrawn his endorsement yet. He says that he's not going to do anything to help Donald Trump. John McCain as well, saying that he can no longer support Donald Trump. Trump talked to Bill O'Reilly about all of that last night. Listen to what he said. He had a conference call yesterday with congressmen, with hundreds of them, and they practically rioted against him on the phone. One person stuck up for him. So look, I don't want his support. I don't care about his support. He's never heard salty language before. You know, John McCain, who has probably the dirtiest mouth in all of the Senate.
So Donald Trump now fighting a war on two fronts against Republicans who are not supporting him the way that he would like them to, and his opponent, Hillary Clinton, yesterday at a big rally in Panama City, Florida. Thousands of people outside to see Donald Trump, zeroing in on the latest email dump showing ties between the Clintons and the government and what that nexus all leads to, suggesting that really it is a pattern of corruption. Here's Trump last night from Panama City.
No place. The Hillary Clinton documents released today by WikiLeaks make more clear than ever just how much is at stake in this election. This election will determine whether we remain a free country in the truest sense of the word, or we become a corrupt banana republic.
Not talking about the clothing store there either. Donald Trump sending out a tweet yesterday saying that the shackles have been taken off, that he is now free to run this campaign the way he wants to. We're not sure exactly what that means in the remaining month of this campaign, but I would expect Tucker, Ainsley, and Steve a return more to the combative slash and burn style in which he dispatched 16 or 17 other Republicans in the primary campaign. So watch for the flamethrower to come out, I would think.
No kidding. All right, John Roberts, thank you very much. He wasn't talking about that retail store. Maybe he was talking about the gap between his fans, the gap between his fans and the Republican establishment. And to John's point right at the end, that's how he got famous, by taking on the establishment.
I love the idea he's unshackled, though. He's taking off the librarian glasses, pulling out the bobby pin. I mean, we shouldn't forget, though, at the core of all of this, the dispute between Trump and the establishment is disagreements on policy. I mean, they presided over massive low-wage immigration, outsourcing of jobs. They disagree on a lot of issues.
Sure. It's going to be interesting to see what comes out of this election going forward with the political parties.
Sure.
Is there going to be a split among Republicans?
There's a realignment for sure.
Absolutely. Listen, if Congress wants to kiss off Donald Trump's fan base, they're toast. Just say it.
Yeah, that's a math question, what you just said.
It absolutely is. Anyway, we are exactly 1 week away from the final debate. It will be October 19th, and it's going to be historic. The first member of the Fox News team, Chris Wallace, is going to be moderating the debate. And, of course, coverage, there it is right there. Look at that. We had a banner. The coverage will be moderated by Chris and then hosted by Megan and Brett.
You got to think that this WikiLeaks thing, this lost in all the hysteria over Donald Trump, was a treasure trove of documents that have come out in the last week from WikiLeaks, taken from the email accounts of high-level Clinton people, including John Podesta, the chairman of her campaign, that really offer a window into the behind-the-scenes workings there that is unbelievable.
You know when the tape came out of Donald Trump on Friday, I'm sure the Hillary camp was so excited because it was a distraction from everything happening in WikiLeaks. This morning when we were meeting down in the newsroom, we were talking, we're like, which scandal are we going to talk about?
It's overwhelming.
What email are we going to talk about? Because there are thousands of them. As you pour through them all, it's one scandal after another. Donna Brazile, who at the time was the vice chairman of the DNC, was giving Hillary Clinton the questions for one of the primary debates against Bernie Sanders.
In order to hurt Sanders.
Sure. Here are just some of the highlights from WikiLeaks, and there are 1,000, so I'll just do some of the highlights.
Okay.
Saudi Arabia and Qatar are funding ISIS. The Univision chief, the guy who runs the network, urged Hillary to hit Trump harder. And certainly not fair and balanced. John Harwood over at the New York Times, the debate moderator back in October, he advised Hillary Clinton campaign, and then had some crazy stuff that he had to say disparaging about Donald Trump. New York Times gave Hillary Clinton veto power on quotes, and even her campaign told her when to smile in speeches. She would have a speech, and then it would say, in brackets, smile here.
It's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
The deep corruption of the press. You remember John Harwood, of course, presided over that Republican debate where a lot of people said, boy, he is being awfully unfair. These questions are unfair. And then we see him in these emails bragging to the chairman of the Hillary campaign about how nasty he was to Trump in that. I mean, it really is an inside deal. You hate to think that, but these emails prove it.
There's another one that struck all of us this morning, mocking and making fun of Catholics and evangelicals. John Halpin, who is a fellow at the liberal think tank, it's called Center for American Progress, was exchanging emails with several people in Hillary's campaign and making fun.
Including Jennifer Paul Mary.
That's right.
Who is her communications director right now.
Making fun of two individuals that are very powerful here, Rupert Murdoch, who is over News Corporation, and then also Robert Thompson, managing editor for the Wall Street Journal, because they're raising their kids Catholic, and because Rupert Murdoch decided to go over and badger baptizes children in Jordan, where John the Baptist was baptized, mocking that and making fun of evangelicals.
So here's some excerpts from it. First up, Mr. Halpin at the think tank, regarding Catholicism, he says it's an amazing bastardization of the faith. They must be attracted to the systemic thought and severely backwards gender relations.
That's unbelievable.
So that's him describing in this conversation with Jennifer Palmieri Catholicism.
Well, as a Christian...
And then she says, I imagine they think it is the most socially acceptable, politically conservative religion. Their rich friends wouldn't understand if they became evangelicals.
You know what? That makes me just feel sorry for them, because they haven't experienced the glory and the wonderful aspects of Christianity.
But I mean, that's also the textbook definition of bigotry. They are dismissing anyone who adheres to the world's oldest Christian faith, Catholicism, as some sort of Neanderthal. Imagine, let's just play the game. Imagine you take out Catholicism and put in Islam. How exactly would this go over? I mean, there would be a real outcry.
Oh, 100%.
And we would recognize this for what it is, which is bigotry against, a billion people.
I just think of them as these elitists that are making fun of Christians, evangelicals. They've made fun of Donald Trump's base, calling him deplorable. We're going to be talking about this later in the show. Bill Clinton was caught on microphone speaking to a group talking about the rednecks in the South that are supporting Donald Trump.
Absolutely. Look, every president has picked up the Catholic vote, I think, for the last 50 years, with the exception of Al Gore, which was a very complicated election. Don't know if you heard about that. But just to think, and to your point, Tucker, had they been talking about Islam or Muslims instead of Catholics and Christians, there would be a town hall over on MSNBC right now calling on all these people to
there would be a primetime apology from President Obama. I mean, look, here's what this is about. We have you watch these people carefully, and you sort of know, if you're a sort of normal American, that they have contempt for you, that they're hostile to you, to your values, to your family, to the way you raise your children. They deny it in public, and yet whenever the curtain is pulled back, we see it confirmed. These people don't like you because you are a speed bump on their way to power. It's scary, that attitude.
So I guess they're also mocking Tim Kaine, who's a Catholic, Joe Biden, who is a Catholic, John Kerry, who is a Catholic. The list goes on.
Well, it'd be interesting to get comment from, especially from Joe Biden, who goes to Mass every single day, who I think is a sincere Catholic, a liberal one, but still, what does he think of this?
Maybe more children need to be raised in Catholic homes or Christian homes, and our world might be a better place.
That's just making fun of anybody's religion is off the charts. Anyway, we're going to be talking about this morning and many of the other WikiLeaks developments, but right now we turn to Heather, who's got a whole bunch of news.
Yeah, good morning, and that is something else what you guys are talking about this morning. 11 minutes after the hour, a couple headlines to bring you. Starting out in the Midwest this morning, where there is a massive explosion in a Chicago suburb, reducing an entire block of homes to ash and rubble. Watch this.
You guys gotta move it back. Right now, we gotta make sure this doesn't explode again.
Oh my God! Two workers were fixing a gas leak outside a townhome complex when the line exploded, leaving one of those workers critically hurt. Flames 3 stories high, consuming 2 of the 5 units and setting bystanders running for their lives. Also breaking overnight, an entire police department targeted in a possible bomb attack. The feds are now looking for the person who left a backpack stuffed with explosives right on the police department's doorstep. The bomb squad moving in, this happened in a suburb of Denver, to take a look at that bag. It sat outside police headquarters building for more than 12 hours. The police chief describing it as a, quote, very real threat. We'll bring you more on that story as we get it. Tens of thousands of people this morning are being told to get to higher ground immediately. Storm-ravaged North Carolina is now bracing for even more flooding, resulting from Hurricane Matthew.
Helicopters would fly around my house. They didn't fly over me. And I had all kinds of signals. I wrote notes all over the house. I had sheets hanging out. No, nobody saved me but my son and my nephew.
Well, swollen rivers taking over towns as far as 80 miles inland, stranding people inside those homes for days and days. And then in Haiti, the hardest struck area from this hurricane, people are still grappling with the apocalyptic damage that Matthew brought to that country. Some cities now bracing for famine after all of their crops were wiped out. At least 500 people killed as a result.
And if you're still scratching your head, oh my, look at this image. It's a little tough to see this morning. If your child's trying to figure out how you're going to decorate your pumpkin this year, you could try out the latest fad, the Donald Trumpkin. Oh gosh, wow. Folks all over the country painting, carving, and drawing Donald Trump's face. Some even adding that signature blonde, orange hair, whatever you call it. So do you have a Trumpkin at your home? Send us a picture on Facebook or Twitter, or email us at friends@foxnews.com. There's an idea.
Yeah, the little boy that dressed up like him is going to be on our show today.
He was adorable.
So either dress up your kids or your gourds.
Go big orange.
Thank you very much. Send in a picture of Al Gord dressed as Mr. Trump. Coming up, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton battling over their tax plans. But who will put more money in your pocket? Professor Brian Brinberg here next.
We're bringing the tax rate down from 35% to 15%. We're cutting taxes for the middle class, and I will tell you, we are cutting them big league.
And we're going to make sure that nobody, no corporation and no individual can get away without paying his fair share to support our country.
Whoa, a lot of numbers, a lot of claims. The real question is, which candidate has a better plan for the economy? Here to weigh in is Professor Brian Brinberg. He's the chair of the program in business and finance at the King's College right here in New York City. Brian, it's great to see you this morning.
Good to be here.
So to sort of bottom line it, under whose plan will the average person pay more?
They're going to pay more under Clinton's plan. There's no question about it.
There's no question.
She's focusing on upper income individuals. That's who she wants to tax. The question is, how much does that trickle down to the rest of taxpayers, as you see less investment, lower job creation, and that sort of thing. So I think here she's really targeting high-income earners, but you're going to see some kind of trickle-down.
So that's always the claim.
Yeah.
People you've never met before are going to pay more, but you're not going to.
And this is the issue. What the question is, when you tax the rich, what do? Do they just say, okay, I'll take it, I'll pay that tax? No, they change their behavior, and that means they're investing less, they're creating fewer jobs. That hits everybody else. So you see the income hit on lower-income earners, not because they're getting taxed more, but because the economy is slowing down.
Okay, so let's put some of Clinton's plan on the screen here. $275 billion for infrastructure, 4% surcharge on incomes over $5 million, just right across. Deductions limited to 28% off your tax bill. Let's just address the first one, infrastructure. A lot of support for this idea, bipartisan, and yet we just had a massive infrastructure program shovel-ready jobs under the current president. Did that help?
Infrastructure is important to facilitate economic growth, but it can't be the catalyst. It's not going to be the source of it. We've seen that experiment too many times.
Yes, we just saw it.
Japan, China, the United States. Spending by itself on infrastructure isn't going to get the economy moving. It's important, but it can't be the catalyst. You can't rely on it.
So here's in essence, the Trump plan. So first up, limit corporate tax to 15%, fully deduct all child care expenses, renegotiate NAFTA, stop TPP, issue moratorium on federal regulations, and end the death tax. What does that add up to?
He's going for growth big time here. He looks at the economy and says the problem is we're growing too slowly, so I'm going to do everything I can to get the economy growing. Cut taxes, I'm going to cut regulations. These are the kinds of things that can spur business investment, that can spur job creation, that can get that economic growth number back up. He sees that as the long-term solution to our debt issues. He sees that as a long-term solution to our wage
Very
issues.
quickly, he keeps saying that cutting back on regulations is in effect money in your pocket. Do you think that's true?
Absolutely. If you talk to any small business owner out there, they're going to tell you the one thing that's holding me back is I have a mountain of regulations. It's so costly for me to comply with those. If I could get away from those and start investing in my business, growing my business, that would put people back to work. So absolutely, regulation has a direct impact on people.
And almost all those regulations coming from the executive branch. Not
absolutely,
the Congress,
absolutely.
You could actually do something about it quickly. Brian, great to see you this morning.
Good to see you.
Thanks a lot for that summary.
You bet.
Coming up, why didn't Hillary Clinton ever bring up Bernie Sanders' age when they were battling for the nomination? Ed Klein is here with a stunning diagnosis from his sources inside the Clinton campaign. That's next. And watch this, a truck stuck on the tracks at the wrong time.
All right, time for a quick look at headlines on this Wednesday morning. First up, heart-stopping video as a train smashes into a tractor trailer. The semi got stuck on the tracks while trying to make a right turn in Atwater, California. The driver escaping just seconds before the collision. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. Look at those pictures. In a wild chase playing out live on Facebook, a man spotting his stolen truck turns his motorcycle around and follows the driver. The Washington State man asking his friends on Facebook watching live to call the police for help, which is exactly what they did. The arrest, like something straight out of a movie scene, also playing out live on Facebook. Thanks, Facebook. You got your man. Look who's here, Ed Klein. Ed's got that new book out called Guilty as Sin. It's all about Hillary Clinton, who you say is guilty as sin.
Any doubt about that?
Well, probably not.
You're on the Curvy Couch this morning talking about this article we've all read that is just out. That you're talking about some shocking things going on within Hillary Clinton's campaign. Now, the first one that blows my mind is how Podesta, who's actually running her campaign, did not want Hillary to bring up Bernie Sanders' health. Why is that?
Well, actually, it was Neera Tanden, one of Hillary's big advisors from way over on the left, emailed Podesta and said, the last thing you want to do is bring up Bernie Sanders' health and his age, because if so, it'll open up the whole Pandora's box of Hillary's health.
And Hillary's health is, in your estimation, according to your sources,
according to my
is she healthy?
According to my White House sources, the president and Valerie Jarrett offered to have her go secretly to Walter Reed Medical Center to have a checkup. I think they had two reasons for that. One, they were worried about her health, which is not good. And secondly, if she went there, then the Obamas would have an inside track into exactly what was wrong with her. What I understand is wrong with her is she's got a couple of things. One, she's got an arrhythmia of the heart, leaky valve. They offered the doctors to do a valve replacement surgery. And she said, no, I don't want to do that, because if they put a pig's valve in my heart and it gets out to the public, they're going to say, hey, this woman is maybe not exactly healthy enough to run for president.
Interesting. So in the WikiLeaks documents, and there's so many of them, we're still really going through them this morning, but it's pretty clear that people around Hillary Clinton were concerned about the role her husband Bill would be playing during this campaign, and they did not see him only as an asset, but also potentially as a liability.
You know, it's very interesting. These two people, Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, live such separate lives that they don't even coordinate his travel, where he's going, what he's going to say. His speeches are not vetted in advance by the Hillary Clinton.
I've noticed.
Yeah. And so they're always concerned that Bill is going to go way off
Well,
message.
just recently he said Obamacare was crazy, and she's in support of it.
That's right. Well, you know, this whole question of Obamacare, they were very concerned at the last debate that this was going to come up because Obamacare is so unpopular across the country. And if it came up, they had to have an answer. So this business about Bill saying it was crazy, this was actually coordinated with the White House and Hillary's campaign so that she would have a message. And Bill and Hillary, in this case, were on the same page.
Sure. So the White House was saying, Hillary, it's okay to beat us up on this because that's going to help get you elected, and then we can stay the course. One other thing is, it's very clear, in addition to coordinating their messages, it seems like with members of the mainstream media, her own team thinks that she simply is not honest.
Well, that's true. I mean, she says one thing in public, according to these leaked emails, right? She says to Goldman Sachs, I really like the Keystone Pipeline. And then she goes out in public in her campaign and says, I hate the Keystone Pipeline. You know.
Well, that's because she can say one thing in public and another thing
That's right. And she also told these guys at Goldman Sachs, you are the guys who are going to fix our financial situation because you really understand it. And then she goes in her campaign and says, I'm going to get those guys on Wall Street.
What percentage do you think of Democratic voters believe Wall Street should self-regulate? Is it like 1 or 2%? Probably?
Yeah, I'd say about that, right. I mean, clearly Wall Street isn't going to. I mean, remember Joe Kennedy was put in charge of the SEC by Franklin Roosevelt because he was the fox in the hen house?
Right. Sure.
Well, you know, maybe we need somebody like that.
crazy stuff. All right, once again, it's called Guilty as Sin, his new book.
Thank you.
Big bestseller.
Great to see you this morning.
Good to be here.
Another disgusting display against our national anthem, this time by the woman actually singing the song.
Yeah, wait till you hear this. And call him the Miracle Met. Tim Tebow becomes an angel in the outfield. He saved a fan's life.
But first this morning, happy birthday to our old friend Kirk Cameron. The actor is 46 years old today. What does that mean for how old you are?
My heart throbbed in fourth grade.
Hillary Clinton campaigned in Florida today with Al Gore. You're making Al Gore go back to Florida? That's so cruel. That's like making Joe Frazier go back to Manila.
Oh, that's right.
Pretty good line.
He probably does not like Florida. All right, somebody who loves Florida is all of us. We love Florida. A lot of people in Florida right now, and Heather joins us right now.
We love Florida.
We do.
Thinking about them after that hurricane barreled through there and our friends in North Carolina.
They certainly got lucky, and we're still praying for our friends in South and North Carolina as well. All right, a couple of headlines to bring you this morning. Some major voting news out of two critical battleground states just 27 days before the presidential election. Florida, as we were just talking about, extending its registration deadline from yesterday until 5 o'clock today following Matthew. Democrats sued the state, saying that the storm had stopped lots of people from those last-minute sign-ups. Early voting starts today in the must-win battleground state of Ohio. No nominee since JFK has made it to the White House without taking the Buckeye State. A major break in the Kim Kardashian robbery case, we're told. French police say that they have found DNA on this diamond cross that was stolen in that multi-million-dollar jewelry heist. I guess that's the cross right there. Someone found the cross and then handed it over to police one day after Kardashian says she was bound, gagged, and robbed at gunpoint inside her Paris apartment. That development comes as Kardashian now sues the website Media Takeout over claims that she faked the whole thing. A disgusting display as national anthem protests now reach a new low. Watch this. Wow, so she's singing that song and then taking a knee. That is the singer Leah Ticey taking a knee while performing the national anthem at the Sacramento Kings preseason game last night. She later posted this on Facebook, quote, "Let's be honest, until we can recognize that white privilege exists, we cannot have a dialogue about race." In the meantime, the man who started the entire trend, Colin Kaepernick, got his starting job back with the 49ers. Perhaps no surprise there, given the political firestorm. But before he takes the field, he'll watch his multi-million-dollar contract be completely restructured. Tim Tebow performing what some are calling a miracle this morning while signing autographs after a minor league game in Arizona. One of his fans collapsed, appearing to have a seizure. Tebow put his hand on that fan, saying a prayer and keeping him calm until medics arrived. The man is expected to be okay. This is not a first for Tebow. He also prayed with a man who experienced heart problems during a flight back in June. And those are your headlines. Kind heart he has. Really thoughtful man.
I know.
Yeah.
What a story.
Yeah.
Love that Tim Tebow.
All right, Heather. Thank you, Heather.
All right, turning now to the race to the White House. It's a blast from the past for the Democrats.
Hillary Clinton tapping none other than the creator of the internet. You remember him. He was her husband's vice president. His name is Al Gore, and he is back to rally millennials.
The creator of the internet. Alicia Acuna is live in Pueblo, Colorado, where Clinton will be just hours from now with the latest on the Democratic attempt to get the young voters out to the polls. Good morning, Alicia.
Good morning, Ainsley, Tucker, and Stephen. Yes, you got it right. This is yet another attempt by Secretary Clinton to appeal to those millennial voters. So what does she do? She brings on former Vice President Al Gore for a one-day stint where they sort of form this mutual admiration society over the other's work to combat climate change. Now, Clinton introduced her husband's former VP, reminding the crowd of his Nobel Peace Prize for his environmental work, and called climate change one of the most important issues at stake in this election.
Our next president will either step up our efforts to address climate change to protect our planet, to protect our health, and to create good jobs that cannot be outsourced. In the alternative, we will be dragged backwards, and our whole future will be put at risk.
Now, Gore told the crowd every vote counts, and he would know. Florida was the focal point of the 2000 presidential election when Gore lost to George W. Bush after a lengthy recount and Supreme Court decision. Gore also blamed third-party candidate Ralph Nader for pulling support from the Democrat, something the Clinton campaign is trying to avoid.
Our next president will either step up our efforts to address climate change, to protect our planet, to protect our health, and to create good jobs that cannot be outsourced. In the alternative, we will be dragged backwards, and our whole future will be put at risk.
Now, Clinton heads here to Pueblo, Colorado today for a voter registration event. Now, just to let you guys know, this is the first presidential race in Colorado where every active voter will receive their ballot by mail, and those go out starting on Monday. Back to you guys.
Oh, gosh, I'm jealous. That would make it so much easier. You don't have to wait in line.
Right. All right, Alicia, can
Thank
we get live
you.
in Pueblo? It is ironic that Hillary Clinton is calling on Al Gore, the inventor of the internet, as he claimed, because remember when Al Gore was running for president of the United States, he would have no part of Bill Clinton, who had been his boss as president, because of the stain of the impeachment.
And he didn't endorse her.
It's hilariously out of touch, though. You could just see the meeting. Let's get Al Gore. The kids love Al Gore. And then look at Britney Spears. The kids love Britney Spears.
I think the way
there's another planet.
I think the way they introduced him was the world's one of the world's foremost authorities on climate change. Didn't mention the fact that he had been vice president.
Exactly. People watching, kids under 30 are like, who is that guy? Who's that weird guy?
Anyway, you know, for the first time ever, a Fox News anchor is going to be moderating a general election presidential debate. We're so proud of this. Award-winning journalist Chris Wallace, widely regarded as one of the best questioners in the business, will moderate the all-important final debate between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton on Wednesday night.
That's right, and we will have it live right here on Fox. This make-or-break event, less than 3 weeks before the historic election of 2016, it's going to be held on October 19th in Las Vegas. We're all going. The best place to watch the first Fox moderated debate is right here on the Fox News channel.
From the bar at the MGM Grand, we will be doing that.
That's right.
Yes, we will.
Is it from the bar?
Actually,
that's where we'll be.
I think we're going to actually be out at the swimming pool. They've got some fantastic swimming pool setup. They got TVs all over the place.
If this isn't the pivotal moment of the year, this debate, I mean, it really has come down to this. I think this is going to...
Because a lot of people think she won the first debate, he won the second debate.
That's right.
There's been a lot of controversy, and, you know, with the thing with Billy Bush, and then also the WikiLeaks. So, yeah, this is going to be a very important debate for both of them.
The bus thing was so like 7 scandals ago. You know, keep in mind, the Republicans have won the last 2 debates. Trump on Sunday night in St. Louis, and Tim Kaine versus Mike Pence. And Mike Pence.
It's going to be a different country by next week.
You just watch.
Things are moving fast.
Keep it on Fox. All right. Meanwhile, just how reckless is Hillary Clinton with our nation's big secrets? New reports she blurted out classified information about the raid that killed Osama bin Laden during a speech in which she was paid.
Rob O'Neill, the man who killed Osama bin Laden, he's going to join us live to react to that.
And this story is disturbing. Could this video, just going viral, lead investigators to a girl who has been missing for 7 years? There's a huge update to this story just ahead.
Hi, Walter. I was at the mall today, and guess what happened? I met the most wonderful girl. I brought her back to my place.
Well, we have some quick headlines for you. Breaking overnight, the admitted terrorist behind the Paris attack now staging a prison protest. The reason, he doesn't like being monitored 24/7. His name is Salah Abdeslam. He has been held in solitary confinement since he was arrested last year, accused of plotting the attack that killed 130 people. Tough luck. His lawyer's now quitting the case because he refuses to testify. And the Pentagon says it might retaliate against militants who attacked a U.S. Navy destroyer. 2 missiles falling short of the USS Mason and landing in the Red Sea on Sunday. It's still unclear who fired them, but officials say that it came from an area in Yemen controlled by an Iranian-backed rebel group. That is disturbing.
It is. Meanwhile, we've got a viral video that's reigniting interest in a 7-year-old case of a missing teenager. This morning, police in Wisconsin say the clip is a hoax, and they are no closer to finding Kayla Berg.
Maybe the creepiest thing you've seen today. Abby Huntsman joins us now to look at the video and reaction from Kayla's mother. Abby, what is this?
Good morning, you guys. Yeah, this is really terrible stuff. The video, I will warn you, Tucker, as you said, it is downright creepy. It was posted to YouTube back in October 2009, 2 months after Kayla Berg's disappearance, and the chilling clip only recently went viral.
Hi, Walter. I was at the mall today, and guess what happened? I met the most wonderful girl. I brought her back to my place.
Oh, so the video then shows a young woman who appears to be tied up on the floor and screaming.
Yeah, we're not going to show that.
No, we're not going to show that part. But both the FBI and local police investigated and determined it was, quote, 100% fake. A statement released overnight says the Antigo Police Department has identified the video producer / cameraman, the actor and actress in the video. And this video has no connection to the disappearance of Kayla Berg. The names of the people in the video were also not released. It's not clear if they will face charges. The video has now been taken down by YouTube. Kayla was 15 years old when she vanished after being dropped off at a house in Wausau, a small town about 90 miles from Green Bay. Berg's mother was convinced the girl in the video could be her missing daughter.
Sounded like her, looked like her. It gave me chills, made me sick to my stomach, literally.
But now it's back to square one in the 7-year search. Police say they follow up on every tip, and they're hopeful they will get one that finally makes a difference. But as you said, this video is so creepy. And that poor mom. For all this.
Sure. So that video was posted years ago, right?
And it just is now going viral.
Do we know if there's a connection, if the people who made the video were trying to connect it to the disappearance?
They're saying no, but at the same time, you're wondering, then what is the purpose?
Yeah.
Why did they do this?
Why
Such
is that?
sick people
Why are
out
they doing
there.
that on their free time?
Yeah.
Right.
Who was Walker?
So weird.
And who was Walker? A lot of questions remain on this one.
All right, Abby, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Glad to know it's a hoax, but she's still missing. All right, meanwhile, just how reckless is Hillary Clinton with our nation's big secrets? New reports that she blurted out classified information about the raid that killed Osama bin Laden during a paid speech. Rob O'Neill, the man who killed Osama bin Laden, is going to react live here in New York.
And it's a terrifying trend sweeping this country. Creepy clowns causing mayhem and scaring people. The latest victim next.
27 days to the election, and a new document dumped by WikiLeaks, thousands more, include many of Hillary Clinton's paid speeches to Wall Street, with the latest leak revealing that she may have disclosed classified information regarding the raid on Osama bin Laden's compound in those paid speeches. Here to react, the man who killed Osama bin Laden, former Navy SEAL Rob O'Neill. Rob, apparently in the paid speeches, at least one of them, she revealed that they were able to track him down by apparently they had a cell phone that was connected in some way to him. So she's telling all these fat cats on down on Wall Street, yep, cell phone information.
Yeah, good morning, Steve. Thanks for having me. And this is just interesting because, you know, I did a special on Fox News a few years ago, and I heard about how people should or shouldn't say things. There are definitely things that shouldn't be said. There's classified stuff that I never touched that certainly shouldn't be leaked. And if they're talking about methods like cell phones or how they're pinpointing people, that's something that I wouldn't want to talk about.
Yeah. What about the fact that it kind of sounds like she also talks a little bit about how she's one who pressed the president to go and green light the mission. It sounds like a politician who's running for president kind of taking credit for the raid.
Well, it does sound like she's taking credit for it, and I'm sure she had a part with it as the Secretary of State and dealing with a lot of the foreign entities. But as opposed to trying to raise capital for a campaign or get elected based on her national security because of the bin Laden raid, I would much rather she heard or mentioned why we did it, or the pilots that brought us there, or the analysts that found him. And we didn't go for someone to win an office. We went for the secretary that jumped out of the 90th floor of the trade towers on a Tuesday morning. You know, we went for the first responders that went into the Pentagon. We went for people like Todd Beamer that took down the plane in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where that could have hit the Capitol and been even made a horrible day even more catastrophic. I would rather like the reason I did the special on Fox News was because of the 9/11 families, and I've had them tell me pretty much every single day it helps with the healing process. Even though there's never closure, there is part of a healing process knowing that was a means to an end, but it's not, I wouldn't have done it for political gain.
Well, and Hillary Clinton isn't the first one to mention the SEALs, although here she's revealing the secret method, talking about cell phones. But it was Joe Biden who outed you guys as the ones who
It was
off.
actually surprising. We had heard a little bit about our unit after something high level like rescuing Richard Phillips from the Somali pirates, which we did. But when we got back from the Osama bin Laden raid, we were still wearing our gear, and on Yahoo News we would see SEAL Team 6, which is just a...
Oh, no! You didn't want to know that.
So, but I mean, that was because Vice President Biden leaked it out. And, you know, does it matter? Does it not? I mean, I personally don't mind that the bad guys know there is a unit or 2 units that will come get you. And they're still out there right now. Those brave men and women are still fighting. They're available.
Sure, because the SEAL teams are posted in different parts across the country and around the world. And if you mentioned SEAL Team 1, that's in a different place than...
Could be.
That's crazy. I know that shortly after the raid, the President of the United States came to Fort Campbell. To thank the
Yes,
SEAL
he did.
team.
He came and he brought pretty much everybody with him. It was great. It was a great time to see a complete bipartisan effort too. We had, you know, he had some in his cabinet on the right, most on the left, but they were all there. Everyone was happy. Everybody got along, and there was no animosity. But what was unique though, when Hillary Clinton talks about that picture, the famous picture that I was in, the one she's like, I was in that room when they were doing the bin Laden raid. The one room she wasn't in is when they came to thank us. We never heard a word from Hillary Clinton.
Never?
Never met her.
Is that right?
That's true.
Well, she's taking credit for green lighting the operation and spilling the beans on how you did it.
She's taking some credit, and she's raising money because of it. And again, you know, I don't want to take away from the part she had, but we didn't kill Osama bin Laden because of Hillary Clinton.
Absolutely not. You made it clear in the special why you did it. All right. Rob O'Neill, thank you very much for joining us
Absolutely.
live.
Thank you, Steve.
All right. What do you think about that? Please email us, friends@foxnews.com. Meanwhile, don't go anywhere. There's a big show still to go. Could we end up with a third party, the Trump party? Mr. Trump's campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway, stopping by the couch. Plus, coming up, Sheriff David Clark. And days before his wedding, Kevin McCarthy. Plus, we've got Tiny Trump. That kid from the rally is going to be with us live.
Good morning to you and your family. It's Wednesday. It's October 12th, 2016. I'm Ainsley Earhart. Breaking overnight, an entire police department targeted the discovery of explosives and an update on what the feds are doing right now.
And Donald Trump is now officially unshackled.
I don't want his support. I don't care about his support. What I want to do is I want to win for the people, because Hillary Clinton, she is a disaster.
Okay, she's a disaster, but he may not have Paul Ryan's support, and he has others, and he's all ready to go it alone if necessary. Who needs the Republican establishment? Maybe not Donald Trump.
And it's a cover girl like you've never seen before. That's because it's a cover boy. The big change that is making headlines this morning. Sorry to hit you with that this early, but this is a news show. Happy Wednesday.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the program. Tucker's in for Brian. Brian just didn't show up.
He didn't.
But look who is showing up today.
Glad to be here.
Kellyanne Conway. She is going to be here to talk about the Trump campaign and what's ahead for the next
And Christopher
27
Kennedy
days.
Lawford, he's got a brand new book, which looks excellent, by the way.
Yeah, it's called When Your Partner Has an Addiction. It's interesting. Also, Pete Hegseth, you got Sheriff Clark there, and Tiny Trump, 2-year-old Hunter, was pulled out of the crowd by Donald Trump at a rally on Monday in Pennsylvania because he saw him and he goes, "Who's that guy? Who's that good-looking guy over there?" And then the crowd started going, "Bring him up, bring him up."
He had a moment of real self-awareness.
That's awesome.
And he brought him up on stage and he said, "Do you want to be with your mom and dad, or do you want to be with Donald Trump?" And he leans toward the microphone and he says, "Trump."
Just like that.
He's seen the plane.
He has.
Right.
In fact, he was on a plane, and he is here live in our studio along with his
So
mom.
cute.
So anyway, that's coming up. Meanwhile, just 27 days until Election Day, and today the Trump train is roaring through the state of Florida as the Republican nominee continues to declare war on establishment Republicans.
Trump says he's fed up after his own party abandoned support in Washington, but the fight is nowhere near over this morning.
Fox News senior national correspondent John Roberts is live down in Ocala, Florida with how it all went down. Good morning, John.
Ainsley, Steve, Tucker, good morning to you. Yeah, we're getting down to short strokes here. Just 4 weeks left in this election campaign, and Donald Trump has got to turn around poll numbers that are going in the wrong direction, almost laying the groundwork, some people think, to say, well, if I lose on November the 8th, it's because I didn't get the support from the Republican Party that I should have gotten. Donald Trump taking aim yesterday on Twitter against a lot of the Republicans who have either sort of tepidly withdrawn their support, or like Paul Ryan, who says, I'm still going to endorse him and vote for him, I'm just not going to help him out, or John McCain, who outrightly said, I am not going to vote for this guy, I'm sorry, I can't do that. A lot of Republicans in that boat. Big rally yesterday in Panama City, Florida, outside, thousands of people showing that they don't really care about the controversy that has ensnared and encircled the Trump campaign. But last night on the O'Reilly program, Donald Trump making it clear that he is happy about neither Paul Ryan nor John McCain. Listen to this.
He had a conference call yesterday with congressmen, with hundreds of them, and they practically rioted against him on the phone. One person stuck up for him. So look, I don't want his support. I don't care about his support. He's never heard salty language before. You know, John McCain, who has probably the dirtiest mouth in all of the Senate.
Yesterday here in the state of Florida, and we'll do it again today with 2 events, and then tomorrow in West Palm Beach, making the case that Hillary Clinton is weak on national security, particularly on cybersecurity, pointing to the hacked emails, and then also the connections between the Clinton campaign and the Department of Justice over the whole email scandal, reaching out to people in the state of Florida last night saying that they better vote for Donald Trump, or else saying that he'll be disappointed if they don't. Listen to this.
I'm a little disappointed because Hillary hasn't created a job, and I've created thousands of jobs in Florida, thousands. I mean, at Doral, I have over 1,000 people working just at Doral itself. We've created a lot of jobs, so Florida doesn't, if you guys don't vote me as a victor, I'm going to be very angry at you.
Donald Trump also saying, hey, if you don't vote for me as president, all of those rallies will disappear, suggesting that if he does become president, he'll continue with the big political rallies. He does seem to like them. The Real Clear Politics average of polls has got Hillary Clinton now up by about 2.5 points. So Donald Trump has got some work to do here in the Sunshine State. By the way, quick trivia questions. Ainsley, Tucker, and Steve, Ocala is famous as the home of who?
The Bellamy brothers.
They were here yesterday.
How did you know that?
We interviewed them yesterday.
Yeah, but who else? Who else? Who else? Who else?
Who else has been born in Ocala in the last 1,000 years?
I'm going to guess Tammy Wynette.
No, lives.
You, John.
Lives.
You. Oh, lives.
No, this. Here.
You were?
John Travolta.
Oh,
John Travolta. He lives just north of here.
I thought you were volunteering.
Never would have guessed that.
I thought you were pointing to something behind you.
John Travolta's got a house on an airport, a little private airport. He can actually fly his Learjet and his 707 right up into his house. A lot of people in Florida got golf carts. He's got jets.
Good for him.
No kidding. It's a good life. All right, John, thank you very much with a little trivia. Joining us right now, Steve Hilton, the former Director of Strategy for former Prime Minister David Cameron. He also is the CEO of CrowdPack, where the average person out there watching can actually get involved in politics.
There you go.
Good morning.
Good to be with you.
Good to be with you, too.
So what do you think about Donald Trump's new strategy? Because Paul Ryan has said, okay, I have not unendorsed him, but I'm not really going to support him going forward. What do you think about Donald Trump versus the establishment?
Well, look, if he just simply goes around insulting Paul Ryan and John McCain, even if it's deserved, that is just a waste of precious campaigning time. But if he connects this argument about the establishment to people's real lives, and especially the economy, that's a different story.
How do you
if he
do
says
that?
to people, look, the reason that your incomes are down, that your jobs are disappearing, that you have this sense of feeling stuck, and that your opportunities that you used to be to take for granted are disappearing, that's because of the policy failures of the ruling establishment in both parties. Yes. She is part of that. I'm outside of that, and that's why I'm the only one that can change your life for the better. Now, that is a winning message.
Steve, can you compare that to the Brexit movement over in the UK?
It's exactly the same underlying argument, which is you've got a huge group of people who have just been left behind by these big changes in our economy and our society, globalization and technology, and it feels like the people in charge are just serving the winners, the people who are gaining from that, and those who are losing out from that are just ignored, and that's what led to Brexit. And I think if Trump focuses on that argument, then he's got a really good chance of turning it around.
So who has control of the Republican Party when this is all over?
Well, I think that the central point for the Republican Party is that they've got to learn, whether he wins or loses, that it should be there to represent opportunity for those people, not for the insiders, not for the winners. The Republican Party should be there for opportunity for all, and you've got to start by developing new ideas that really work for those people, and that's true whether he wins or loses.
We're exactly 1 month away from the day after the election. So the election really is still a month away. That's enough time, isn't it, for Trump to turn it around?
I think, yes. What we've seen in this election is just how quickly things move. Look how quickly he really caught up with Hillary Clinton after a pretty disastrous period after the conventions. Caught up with her, overtook her, looked like in many of the swing states he was really pulling ahead in ways that you haven't seen a Republican nominee do for ages. So I think there's still time, but he's got to focus on how he's going to make a difference to real people's lives by getting rid of these failed policies that people have experienced from both parties for many years.
Right, Newt Gingrich was sitting where you were yesterday morning, former Speaker of the House here, and he said that he said Donald Trump's campaign really needs to focus on WikiLeaks and the email scandal involving Hillary Clinton. And we just got some more information this morning. You know, every day we walk into the newsroom, there's more information, more WikiLeaks stuff. This morning, I was reading about them mocking, her campaign mocking Christianity, mocking Catholics, talking about Rupert Murdoch, who's head of News Corp, sending his kids to Catholic school. Here's one of the emails, Steve.
That's right. This is between Hillary's communications director, Jennifer Palmieri, and a fellow by the name of John Halpern from a lefty think tank. They're talking about Catholicism here, and it says it's an amazing bastardization of the faith. They must be attracted to the systemic thought and severely backwards gender relations. And then Palmieri, Hillary's communications director, says this: I imagine they think it is the most socially acceptable political conservative religion. Their rich friends wouldn't understand if they became evangelicals. That sounds like a problem, because it sounds like her communications director is anti-Catholic.
That is just so insulting and disrespectful. And you just got to think...
Are you Catholic?
Yeah, I was raised a Catholic, and I just think that the attitude revealed in that is so disgraceful. Now look at the outrage, the correct outrage about Donald Trump's remarks the other day with respect to women. The remarks there about people with faith are just as bad in a different way. Now imagine further if those remarks were from Republicans about people who are Muslims. Just imagine.
It would be on the
outrage.
front of the New York Times.
Exactly.
Every day.
That we really need to see some contrition from them over this. They should be pressed to explain those remarks and to say that that is not the attitude of Hillary Clinton, and if they don't do that, then people will just see them for the hypocrites that they really are.
But I mean, we sort of know where this attitude comes from. They see sincere religious faith, Christian religious faith, as an impediment to imposing the brave new world they imagine we all need. Isn't that the core problem? That's why they hate people.
I think it's actually,
conservative
in a way,
faith.
it's even worse, because in that line about their lack of understanding about different types of Christianity, they would like to see Christianity as politically on their side.
Exactly.
And in a way, that's worse. They want to make it political, to politicize something that is so deep and profound for people. I think it's really disgusting.
Well, there are a lot of Catholics out there who are planning to vote between now and November 8th, and they can't like this.
Well, exactly. So I think that the key thing, though, is that they hear about this. That if this is going to be an issue, it needs to be made an issue. It's not going to happen on its own.
Do you think the mainstream media will talk about it?
Or at least
I don't think
Donald
so. So that's why he needs to talk about it, because otherwise it's just going to disappear into the ether, because there's so much in these WikiLeaks. Exactly. You've got to really focus on it and bring it to people's attention.
All right. Steve Hilton.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
See you.
All right, it's 7-Eleven in New York City. Time now for some quick news.
Good morning. Good morning to all of you. We'll start out in the Midwest right now, where there is a massive explosion in a suburb of Chicago, reducing an entire block of homes to ash and rubble. Watch this.
You guys gotta move it back. Right now, we gotta make sure this doesn't explode again.
Oh my God! Wow, so here's what happened there. Two workers were fixing a gas leak outside a townhome complex when the line exploded, leaving one of those workers critically hurt. The flames 3 stories high, consuming 2 of the 5 units and then sending bystanders running for their lives. Hope everybody's okay there. Also breaking overnight, an entire police department targeted in a possible bomb plot. The feds now hunting for the person who left a backpack stuffed with explosives right on the doorstep of a Colorado headquarters building, a police headquarters. The bomb squad moving into that Denver suburb to take a look at that bag. It sat outside for more than 12 hours. The police chief describing it as a, quote, very real threat. A plane falls from the sky and crashes in a fiery blaze on a busy street. And after a chilling admission from one of the people on board, investigators now believe that this may have been intentional.
All I saw was a crash, and then like an atom bomb went off, and then it just kept blowing up, and then I heard people screaming.
Well, according to the New York Times today, a flight instructor who survived that horrific crash says it wasn't an accident. A student pilot was killed. The FBI is now involved. And those are your headlines. I'll see you back here in a little bit, Ken.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Heather.
Meanwhile, as creepy clowns, you've heard a lot about them, keep haunting neighborhoods, there's a new victim. Ronald McDonald.
No.
Why he's hanging up his giant red shoes straight ahead.
And it's a cover girl like you've never seen before. That's because it is now a cover boy. The big change making headlines this morning.
All right, you know about this. It's brand new. It's the creepy clown craze, and it's taking over cities from coast to coast. I know. And it's now claiming a major clown casualty.
Fast food icon Ronald McDonald is barred now from making public appearances until the hysteria dies down.
Melissa Edizzi from our affiliate WNYW is live in Nutley, New Jersey with more on that and how police are cracking down on the spooky clown sightings. Good morning, Melissa.
Isn't this a shame? Everybody loves Ronald McDonald, but like you said, he's the most recent victim. This has been happening all over the country. The most recent incident actually in Manhattan. Now this whole creepy clown craze is infecting businesses as well, I should say impacting fast food giant McDonald's, releasing a statement that they are keeping their mascot, the beloved Ronald McDonald, under wraps for now, limiting his public appearances for the time being. They didn't give a timeline for how long they plan to do this, but in the statement they said, quote, they are mindful of the current climate around the clown sightings in communities and as such are being respectful. Now, scary clowns were first reported in the U.S. in August and have spread around the world. Some reports of clowns trying to lure kids into the woods have spread paranoia for police departments all across the country. Here in New Jersey, actually, the police department was sending out letters to parents within the school district stating that although they haven't seen any incidents or heard anything, they're prepared if they do. Now, some stores have chosen to stop selling scary Halloween masks, but on the flip side, the large Halloween costume chain Halloween Express says they've seen a 300% increase in sales. So they're choosing to capitalize on this situation. Some other people are not. When will this all end? Some people are saying hopefully after Halloween. There is no word on if this clown craze will continue. Send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Melissa Edizzi live in Nutley, New Jersey. Thank you very much.
I guess the Hamburglar and Grimace are just going to have to take over, right?
What a
weird Hamburglar's still there?
What is going on with the clown thing?
I don't get it.
I don't either.
But they're scary.
They're
pretty scary.
Well, that's because Stephen King released that movie when I was in high school or middle school or something. And did y'all ever watch it?
Is that where this started?
Oh my gosh, that clown is so creepy. And he has the sharp teeth. She showed a picture of it. Oh my word, he lived in the drains under the streets, and every time I walked by the drain in front of my parents' house, I always thought he was going to come out and grab my leg.
I think that's a legitimate concern.
Yes.
To be honest with you, I do. I think all your fears are real.
All right. 7:20 now here in New York City. He's part of one of America's most famous families, but Christopher Kennedy Lawford's story is much different from his relatives. He is a recovering addict. John F. Kennedy's nephew here live with his personal story. Good morning to you, sir. You're coming up next.
And that the shackles are now off. What can we now expect from Donald Trump? Maybe a Trump party, like a political party? Well, the campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway, she is here. She's going to weigh in on that straight ahead. Some news by the numbers. First up, 15 minutes. That is how long former NFL quarterback Tim Tebow stayed at that fan's side right there after a minor league baseball game. He appeared to be having a seizure. He's a fan that just came over to see Tebow, and Tebow knelt down and prayed with that fan and even talked sports with him. The guy's expected to be okay. Some are calling it a miracle. And 2030. That is the year that President Obama says people will be traveling to and from Mars.
Wow.
The president executing a last-minute course correction when it comes to the space program with the help of private innovators. And number one, as in the first ever male cover girl, or should I say cover boy. Look at that. This is 17-year-old James Charles, and he's the cosmetics brand's new face.
All right. Meanwhile, new research on overcoming addiction shows that partners and families are more important to keep up the motivation.
And our next guest is no stranger to that theory. Former addict and author of the new book, When Your Partner Has an Addiction, and the nephew of John F. Kennedy, Christopher Kennedy Lawford. He joins us now. Thank you, Christopher, for being here.
And the son of Peter Lawford as well.
That's correct.
How long did it take you to, I know you had an addiction problem for 10 years?
Yeah, basically 15 years. From the age of 12 to basically I got into recovery when I was 30 years old.
What is your story?
Well, this illness has a genetic component, and it also has a trauma component. Most of the people that are dealing with this come from families that have it, and also have trauma in their adolescence. So they're medicating. I also had the added disadvantage of being brought up in the 60s and 70s, which was very permissive.
In a very famous family.
Well, yeah, but there was trauma involved in that. I mean, I witnessed the brutal assassinations of both of my uncles, and for pretty much every day for 50 years. So PTSD is a huge problem. Vets have a huge problem with this. It's a big problem. This book, When Your Partner Has an Addiction, tells us that we don't have to leave the people we love. This is the #1 public health issue in the country. We have less and less resources to combat it. So we are going to have to take this into our homes and help people that are suffering.
It's hard not to leave your spouse. You're angry at them, I imagine, if they're addicted to something.
Absolutely.
So how do you stay?
This does not present well as an illness. But if you understand, Khalil Gibran said, don't judge the alcoholic in the street until you walk a mile in his shoes. Folks that have this illness are not doing it because they're having a good time.
Right.
They're doing it because they're sick and they're medicating the intolerableness of their lives. This book gives you ways that you can help that person and still stay.
Okay. A lot of books have been written for the addict to, okay, this is going to be your guidebook to get out of this, personal hell. So is this book written for the partner or the spouse on how to guide that person who is addicted?
Basically, how to guide the process. This is called compassionate partnering. Now, we're not saying people should stay if there's an abusive relationship or if they're in danger. They should leave. But if the partner, the addicted partner, is willing to get better, they can do this together, and this book shows you how.
What do you wish your partner had done differently, or what did she do that helped you recover?
Well, my first wife actually did this with me. She learned about the issue. There was no shame in our house for having this. There was compassion. There was cooperation instead of judgment and condemnation. So we used a lot of these tools. I did, and I'm 30 years in recovery.
For the folks watching right now who might have somebody in their household that has an addiction problem, give them one thing they could do today to start them down the right road.
Well, first of all, see your partner clearly, understand what the aspects of this illness are, stop shaming that person, and don't take what they do personally. That's one of the hardest things that people have to do, because as you say, folks that have this illness behave badly. And we need to get beyond that. And it's
so
possible
sweet.
to get
That's
beyond.
hard to do, but it's so sweet to love them through their illnesses.
And it's possible. And the science says that the outcomes are better if you do this instead of leaving.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. When your partner has an addiction, Christopher Kennedy Lawford, thank you very much. I hope you just helped a lot of people.
I do too. Thanks so much.
And congratulations.
Thanks
for coming back.
Thanks.
All right, coming up on this Wednesday, a wild police chase goes to a new level when the suspect tries to make a run for it right into busy traffic.
Whoa.
Yeah, look at that. And the taser takedown that followed that. That's what happens right there.
Now that the shackles are off, what can we expect next from Donald Trump? Campaign manager Kellyanne Conway is going to weigh in on that straight ahead.
Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg said in a new interview that she feels the recent athlete protests of the national anthem are dumb and disrespectful. She feels that people should bow their heads solemnly during the anthem, just like she does during the State of the Union.
Oh, I think she was napping. There you go. Thank you very much. Now live from New York City, it is Kellyanne Conway, who is the campaign manager for Donald Trump.
Hi.
Well, you've had a busy week.
Yes, we have. More to come.
More to come.
So the shackles are taken off. What does that mean? And were they on before? I didn't notice that.
I think he explained to FNC's Bill O'Reilly last night, Tucker, that what he means is he's just unencumbered now. You know, this idea that do you support us, do you not support us? I mean, we're the top of, he's the top of the ticket. He's the presidential nominee, and past presidential nominees have been able to rely upon much more support within the rank and file members, elected members, than he is. But I will have to say that we have a great relationship with the RNC. You know, Reince Priebus and I talk several times a day. He's up here often to help, and as are his top lieutenants. And that's been great, because what we need as a presidential nominee is the field operation, the data, certainly the ground game. And the RNC came bearing gifts for its nominee this year. It happens that it's Donald Trump. They've been working at this for many, many years. So when Donald Trump goes and raises money, like he did, 5 million or so strong yesterday in Texas, that money goes, a lot of that money goes back to the party, and it helps these down ballot candidates, some of whom aren't supporting him.
Kellyanne, I'm mystified by what's going on. You know, I get the politics. Every member of Congress in the House is running for re-election, and some of them see him as not helpful to their causes. But nonetheless, the argument all along has been, okay, he's better than her because she will pick all these new people for the Supreme Court, and we don't want that to happen. I mean, that has been a pretty clear message. It's been a clear choice from the get-go. That hasn't changed, but this has.
That hasn't changed at all. And in fact, the Supreme Court, if you want somebody who's strong and serious about defeating radical Islamic terrorism, if you want someone who actually knows how to create jobs, has signed the front of the check as well as the back of a check. I mean, there's so many different issues that face this country, and the stark choice could not be more clear between Clinton and Trump. And yet you do have a number of Republicans who otherwise agree with the policies of Donald Trump and the Republican Party, now I think making it easier for Hillary Clinton in some ways to win, to compete in some of their states. It's unfortunate, but Donald Trump will do what he's done all along, which is take his message directly to the people through the noise or through the silence, whichever it may be.
Kellyanne, what's going to happen in the future? Will a totally different party emerge from all of this? Because you've got a Republican Party that's split, and even Donald Trump is admitting that and writing in his tweets how the Democrats, at least they're being loyal. No matter what happens, no matter what these WikiLeaks things say, they're loyal. Meanwhile, his party is split. Will we see a new party emerge?
I doubt that. What I think you'll see is, what I think you do see is a party that has growing pains, because it is an expansive party that represents different viewpoints. And Ainsley, you need to look no further than our last couple of presidential nominees. So I think this party was veering dangerously close to being the party of the elites. And yet Donald Trump is really giving voice to the workers. You know, when I go to his rallies, I see folks there from all stages of life, and frankly, folks who have spent their days very differently. You have stay-at-home moms, you have small business owning women, you have carpenters and welders, and then you have executives. In other words, this is the way the party should be. And I think because he's given voice to, as he says, the forgotten man, forgotten woman, he's been able to expand the party in many ways. And look, I'd rather be the Republican Party, the Democratic Party. You talk loyalty, but loyalty can be blind. I mean, the idea that you're going to have Democrats staying with Hillary Clinton after you see what's been revealed in emails, the way they really, truly feel about people, referring to Catholics, I mean, denigrating Fox News, News Corp's Rupert Murdoch because of his Catholic religion. What do all the Catholics out there feel about that? Now, if I'm Donald Trump today, I'm just going to stand at the podium and just read from these emails to see how the Democrats and Hillary Clinton truly feel about people.
So in the debate the other night, he said, basically, look, I feel like I'm debating not simply Hillary Clinton, but the entire press corps. This WikiLeaks dump validates that.
Yes,
so in there you have John Harwood, who really went after Trump in one of the primary debates, and I remember Trump complaining about it, talking to the chairman of the Hillary campaign and saying, you know, Trump's awful, and I'm glad the way I treated him. Basically, this shows that the press is colluding with the Hillary campaign. Do you feel vindicated?
Well, we feel disappointed, because if we had more complete coverage and less biased coverage, I do feel that Mr. Trump would be able to get his message out in a way that would benefit the voters. It is disappointing to read those emails and see that folks who you think aren't giving us a fair shake truly aren't giving us a fair shake, but there's a reason that they're cozying up to the Clinton folks. Well, and listen, this cannot be, you can't have a true free democracy and a free and fair election if the, quote, fourth estate, if the people in charge of giving you the news and not their opinion are frankly in the bag for the other team.
Sure. Well, Kellyanne, you have Hillary Clinton calling half of his supporters deplorable.
And irredeemable.
And then you have Bill Clinton just down in Florida the last day or so saying this about Trump supporters.
You know, look, man, the other guy's base is what I grew up in. You know, I'm basically your standard redneck.
And then he said Trump was confused by the coal people in West Virginia and Kentucky. I mean, that's offensive to people down south.
It's incredibly, it should be offensive to everyone, by the way, but it certainly is offensive to the people he was targeting specifically. I don't know that Bill Clinton is helping his wife much on the campaign trail these days. I'm glad he's out there, and, you know, she's the second most popular person in a two-person household, so you can see why he's out there. But last week it was Obamacare is the craziest thing he's ever seen. We agree. The comment yesterday, I feel, Ainsley, that it's only in unguarded moments that we learn how the Clintons really feel about Americans, particularly Hillary Clinton. You saw after the irredeemable and deplorables comment, we heard her on tape, again in the comfort of the donor class, on tape denouncing the Bernie Sanders voters. And even, I think, earlier this week in the debate, one of the lowest moments for Hillary Clinton in that debate was when she was asked, I think by Anderson Cooper, to explain why she would call millions of people irredeemable and deplorable, and she said, well, I apologize for that. And he said, no, you only apologize for the number. Sure. And her response, oh, I meant to say he was deplorable. Well, you were off by a margin of about tens of millions of people. Sure. And so it's only in those unguarded moments, but I want people to pay attention to that, because what Donald Trump has said is when he wins, he will be the president of all Americans, even those who vociferously opposed his candidacy, whether they're Republican members or otherwise.
There you go. NBC on Friday put out the Billy Bush bus tape. Apparently they'd been sitting on it for months, and it happened years ago. Now you see in the left-wing media, there are a lot of organizations who are saying, somebody else must have some tapes on Donald Trump. And in fact, Donald Trump said, you know, if there are more tapes, have them come on out. What happens if more tapes do come out? What's the official campaign strategy to react to any more tapes?
Well, I don't know what's out there. There's no way for me to know what is and isn't out there. I only know what I read. And so we'll deal with them as they come. We'll have to find out what is on there and what the context was. And in the case of last week, I was there when Mr. Trump learned this, and exactly the contrition and the humility and the apology that he expressed is what I saw privately as well. And I'm glad he did that. I mean, I think when people seek mercy and forgiveness, we ought to be given all these people the high horse sanctimony from some who, you see Hillary Clinton's, top people attacking Catholics, and yet when somebody asks for forgiveness and mercy, we're going to look the other way. Sure, I'm glad he's contrite, and I'm glad that he denounced those comments the way people like me and his wife have. Nobody's out there defending those comments.
Well, I was in a Frank Luntz focus group in St. Louis the night watching the event at the debate, and they were fine with his apology. They said, okay, he's apologized, time to move on.
But the obsessiveness with some over this particular incident and these tapes is really, to Tucker's earlier point, that's a different kind of media bias. I mean, I don't know what the 16 million plus women who are in poverty and the 12 million plus women who don't have health insurance, as I sit here, are thinking of some of the networks that are completely obsessed with this and not allowing them at least a fair and full opportunity to assess what the two candidates' plans are on the issues that really affect them in their lives. And I think that's what's missing from the conversation when we keep having the same discussion over and over again when somebody said, Hillary Clinton said, hey, I'm sorry, I would do it over again. She barely says, I'm sorry. I made a mistake, I would do it over again, imperiling your national security. And so everybody's like, oh, she apologized. They're sorry for that. That's it. She called everybody deplorable and irredeemable. She said she was sorry. Let's just move on. It's like, no, let's not. Who's picking and choosing what's important to us?
All right.
Kellyanne,
thank you.
Good to see you.
All right. Meanwhile, coming up, a brand new bombshell for Hillary Clinton. Was the Department of Justice tipping her off to upcoming trouble? It looks like it, according to WikiLeaks. Sheriff David Clark on deck to weigh in on that. Coming up.
But first, Kevin McCarthy with a movie that is so good, he's giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. Plus, we're going to wish him well because it is wedding weekend.